Hello guys, before we get to the actual video, I'd like to just quickly set it up. This was part of our 24-hour charity live stream for Child's Play. If you would like to donate or find out more about Child's Play, we'll include a link in the description below. We'll also throw in links to our social media accounts so you can follow everyone who is involved with this. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and start the video.
Hello and welcome back to this section where we talk about the current state of Nintendo. I'm just going to be now. So joining me today is Nintendaan and hopefully Liam Robertson. Whenever if he shows up, hasn't quite arrived yet, but we're just going to go ahead without him and he can join us part way. So moving into the on air. Ollie,
We're live.
Yep.
Hello.
We're in.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Good.
Stand there. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's there. He's muted himself. Oh no, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody muted me.
Ah, that naughty. Someone shouldn't have muted you. Well, how you doing, Dan?
I'm doing alright. I'm busy preparing for Gamescom, so I'm throwing editing off in one day, so editing of 2 podcasts and then 5 videos.
Oh wow. Well, thank you for finding a time to come on during that massively busy schedule of yours. Jeez.
It's fine. Yeah, sure.
Yes. Well, we're meant to be having Liam join, but he hasn't arrived yet. Or at least I can see him in the thing, but he hasn't perked up. But as soon as he does, we'll add him in. So for now, we'll just go ahead and talk about the current state of Nintendo.
I see.
At least, So now that the Switch is out.
I see
Hey,
that Liam
can you hear
joined.
me?
Oh, there he is. Hey.
Hey, sorry about that. I'm not very experienced with Discord. I feel like a bit of an idiot, but I'm an old man and I normally use Skype, so bear with me.
It's all right.
Old man screams at Discord.
Precisely.
Yes. Well, it's good that you managed to make it right before we actually got into any sort of deep conversation.
All right.
Yeah, he was literally at the first word on coming out of his lips.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we're here to talk about what is the state that Nintendo is in right now. Like last year, it was looking a bit dire for everyone, with the Wii U barely getting any sort of traction, with barely any games coming out. I think this time last year, Paper Mario Color Splash was the big thing we had to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So, but things seem to have flipped around quite big now that the Switch has launched and seemingly to quite a big success. Like, it's not. I don't know if it's pushing the exact high numbers that the Wii U did in its first year, but it's selling through all its stock. And I think that part of the reason it's not pushing those numbers is because of the lack of stock, rather than
It's still
else.
above the Wii U, which is already interesting in itself, because if you look back at that first half year of Wii U, stock didn't exactly fly off the shelves.
No, it didn't at all. Which I think is something Nintendo were trying to avoid with the Switch, which is why it's gone more the Wii route, where it's quite high demand and no one can seem to find it.
I think it is an accomplishment in itself that they've managed to sell it, because I gotta be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't really see that. I couldn't see it being anywhere near as big as the Wii, because the Wii was so accessible, and this is quite a bigger investment. But they're really, they've gotten behind it. They've got regular games coming out, and it's becoming increasingly. It looks like a good deal, I think.
I think their biggest asset, like comparing it to the Wii U, the thing that they have now they didn't have before, is that big momentum from just popular reception and word of mouth. As people love to love it.
For me, it's a similar situation to the 3DS in 2013. Like, it had a slow start, but once the first couple of months of 2013 rolled around, they kept coming with game after game after game. And that is how the 3DS got off the ground. And I feel that doing that right from the get-go with Wii U, I mean with Switch, I'm sorry, is critically important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've done quite a lot of. I think the software does play a big part in one of the successes of the Switch, because looking at that Wii U lineup, their first 6 months were, you had Nintendo Land, New Super Mario Brothers, Game and Wario,
And that's it.
Wii U.
That's it.
Well, Wii U Panorama View. Don't forget.
Don't make fun of Wii U Panorama View. Right?
Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
I'll defend that until the end.
Hey. Wii Street U was 10 times better. And here's the thing with Wii U Panorama View, right? I played a more expanded version at E3 when you're on the London bus tour, where you could actually interact with stuff with the Wii remote. They removed all of that in the final build of that app.
Oh wow. I wonder why. I wonder if it's just technical reasons, or
if it's already playable, then it's not a technical reason. I think they just want to make one comprehensive video, because at the half point they just switched to the nighttime video with no option to change it. So I think they just make the videos fixed and figured, if this is the better deal compared to the rest of them, we have a problem around our hands. But at the same time, you had some really cool interaction with that, and compared to the other 3 videos, why would you remove that in the first place?
yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, well, listen, you strap the gamepad to your face. It's cheap VR, isn't it? So
I had forgotten that they positioned fucking Google Maps as like a core game.
yeah, remember, they strapped the camera onto Iwata, didn't they? And had it walk around.
Wii Street U was actually interesting and free though, so
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. But I remember them devoting an unusual amount of time to that in a Nintendo Direct when they first announced it, and it's like, guys, it's Street View. We've had this for a while.
Yeah, and then they also did it during the Wii Fit U Direct, where they had an update for the balance board.
Oh,
Oh,
I can't remember.
They were trying to cash in on the Wii Blue Ocean market, you know.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
because I remember that Direct coming out of nowhere, and compared to all other Nintendo Directs in 2013, where they would put like 2 a month or something crazy.
Yeah.
And that came out like somewhere in October, like October 18th, if I remember correctly, out of nowhere. And so, yeah, it's going to be free in like 2 weeks. And also we have a Wii Sports Club and an update for Wii Street U, so look forward to that without any fanfare whatsoever.
Jeez.
I will
early
not remember
Wii U
those days fondly.
But things are definitely changing around. Although the Switch has less apps like Wii Street U. In fact, it doesn't even have Netflix or anything like that yet.
Doesn't have an internet browser, really, does it? So,
No.
The only video app is currently Nico Nico Video.
Oh yeah, which is a Japan only one. Although I guess with region 3 anyone can get it.
Yeah, I've a premium account on Nico Nico for their live streams, so I can just watch stuff on there with that app. So
Oh,
You
nice.
know, who would be a good kind of people to ask about like Switch apps would be the guys who used to work for Factor 5, because they worked on like a bunch of different apps for the Wii U, and they're still really close with Nintendo. And if anyone's doing a Netflix app, if anyone's doing a Netflix app on the Switch, it'll probably be them. You should probably hit them up.
When will we get an Uber app though? It's the next step.
when will we get that very critical Daily Motion app?
Tinder, that'll be it. That'll be a great party game, you know.
Periscope app. Watch all of your favorite periscopes in vertical mode.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
Anyway, yeah.
anyways, I guess we can so we can all agree that the Switch so far is doing better than the what the Wii U was doing in its first year. But I remember
That's not really all that hard.
yeah, true.
Wow.
But I remember back in the early Wii U days, they had that very first Direct that showed off Xenoblade Chronicles, Yoshi, announced the Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem, announced the Zelda Wind Waker HD. They had a very good Direct that I think kind of like made a lot more people hopeful about the Wii U. Like it's just like, oh, it's there's slightly not as many games, but look at all these really great games coming out later. And but so far with the Switch, everything apart from I guess Yoshi and Kirby, which we and Fire Emblem, which are all coming out next year, we don't really have any. Everything is already scheduled for this year, and we don't quite know what the future after 2017 holds for the system.
You know what my problem is with that initial Nintendo Direct for Wii U after its launch? You could make the argument that they had some solid announcements, and it was certainly true to an degree. But just 2 to 3 weeks later, they started to pump out 3DS Directs, and those were a whole lot stronger in comparison.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, like, the Wii U was up against a more popular system that also Nintendo holds.
Yeah.
So you think they were kind of capping their own market by focusing too much on the 3DS?
Well, the Wii U was just out for like a couple of months. You at least knew something, and then in the first 10 minutes they said sadly, Pikmin 3, Wii Fit U, and a whole bunch of other games won't make it until later in the year. Despite until that point saying that there will be launch window until March 2013.
Yeah.
So they never really had it well into place, honestly.
And I'm wondering, do you think that it's part of that is the jump to a HD system? Because the Wii U was Nintendo's first high definition console. Do you think they weren't ready for it?
Yeah, I think there were some teething problems there, definitely. It's a much bigger scale of development, and they were mostly pretty experienced with it from what I gather. So yeah, I definitely think that was an issue.
Yeah, but it also comes down to development tools, and what I remember is that even with Nintendo's internal engines, it wasn't always super well clear how they would work around issues. Well, and that's why with Switch they went for this more open approach and contacted other companies to help them with them.
Yeah, I think it really does help that the Switch can very easily support Unreal and Unity and stuff, whereas the Wii U struggled with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's kind of become a new thing in Japanese games, really. I mean, for a long time, engines were built on a kind of game by game basis. It's only recently they seem to be reaching out to these kind of bigger engines. So I suppose if Nintendo need those Japanese third parties, they have to accommodate them. They've also NCL have restructured internally. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think all of this has gone towards making everything a better launch for the Switch and a brighter future for them. So let's one interesting topic I wanted to bring up, which is something I'm doing a bit of research into at the moment for Source Gaming, an article I'm writing, is the 3DS and the Switch side by side. So the Switch is obviously also a handheld and a home console, which means it kind of clashes with the 3DS's already base of being the handheld Nintendo system. So a lot of people are shouting, they should abandon the 3DS and move all development onto the Switch.
That wouldn't make any sense though right now.
Yeah.
Mostly for two reasons. They still have software to sell that have been in active development, and in fact, they still have to announce a couple of games like that Kirby 3DS game we know nothing about.
Yeah.
And next to that, like the most important factor with 3DS is that it already has an existing install base. You don't suddenly abandon 67 million people with a 3DS just for a shiny new thing that right now still has supply issues.
Yes. I get that. Although so go on, Liam.
I think just one thing worth mentioning, I guess, is that I think they are going to attract different types of games. There are games that you couldn't do on the 3DS. So I think you're gonna get a lot of new developers on board. Like you got the Rocket League guys and and people like that.
The proposition of a 3DS is also very different from the Switch, so I think they can coexist for a little while longer.
Yeah.
Because the 3DS has the dual screens, it's more portable in design, I would say.
It's
And it has
smaller.
a couple. Yeah, and it has more control inputs than a Switch, even though the Joy-Cons are very capable. The 3DS itself is just one unit that has a lot more going for it right now.
Yeah.
So they can coexist for a little while longer, maybe well into next year. But what comes after that basically depends on how Switch goes. Because there's always room for maybe giving something to a kid, and I'm not sure if I want to give a Nintendo Switch to a kid. At least not yet, anyway. But then they could make something that's maybe Switch related, but it's more portable based, or the Joy-Cons don't come off, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they make something on the cheap that is maybe not as well rounded as the 3DS is right now, but still offers something for that market.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. They can coexist for a little while longer. I think that, like I say, they're attracting different types of games, different audiences, kind of, because I think the Switch is more of a system aimed at adults, whereas the 3DS is more aimed at children. Just not to generalize, but I think there's something to be said for that.
It's also
Yeah,
meant for
definitely.
people who want a Nintendo experience but don't have that large sum of money on them.
Sure.
Like, you can easily buy a 2DS and get a bunch of Nintendo Selects games and be solid for a couple of months.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see like the 3DS fade away until they start to drop the price of the Switch, which I think they will in like a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think they've definitely left room to do that.
I think following on from what you're saying, Liam, about them attracting different types of games, the 3DS is still offering something that right now the Switch isn't, and that is a lot of kind of lower budget games. I think there's a big budget difference, even when you look at what Nintendo are making. I'm someone who really likes kind of when Nintendo make very experimental games and when they take big risks.
Sure.
So I've always been a fan of the N64 era, for example, where they went with a lot of out there ideas. And I think Nintendo are putting out a new IP like Splatoon and ARMS, and to an extent they are taking a risk with them, rather than falling back on a surefire hit like Mario or Zelda. But those are games that have had loads of money pumped into them. They're big budget games and they're kind of made to be surefire hits, essentially. But at the moment, the 3DS, you're still getting games like a Box Boy or Sushi Striker that got announced at E3. Just smaller games, probably have smaller teams working on them. I mean, Sushi Striker's being made by Indie Zero, and they've only got about 30 people working for them. And I think the 3DS is still a good platform for those kind of games. And at the moment, at least from a kind of first and second party perspective, the Switch isn't really offering that. And it might do in the future, but right now, the 3DS is where that's at. So they can kind of coexist in that sense.
Dude, what about Flip Wars?
Well,
Excited for Flip Wars? No.
I'm not gonna comment on Flip Wars, but that's a Nintendo published one. They've obviously seen something in that. Maybe it's because of the I think was it developed by people from Kyoto University or something.
It's called by a small company called Overfence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But I thought some of their staff or something had some.
Yeah. And if you want to find more information out on that, we have an interview with the developers from Overfence right on Source Gaming.
Or I can just tell you that Flip Wars is not very good video game.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. See, I haven't had the chance to actually play it yet. But they're meant to be giving it free updates. Did that just end?
Yeah, but that game came out almost 3 months ago in Japan and has barely been updated. So.
Alright, fair enough. It's an just to spoil my upcoming article, I guess. It was interesting looking at how Nintendo support their systems when another one comes out, because apart from the NES and Super Nintendo when they were still getting their footing, they essentially... So when the Game Boy Advance came out, there was no more support for the original Game Boy. It just completely dropped, pretty much, apart from third parties. And with the exception of Pokemon, there was barely any support for the DS once the 3DS had come out. Pokemon was this weird sort of exception where it got Black and White 1, 2, and then Conquest, or sort of in that area. But
Also, Pokemon Typing Adventure.
and Pokemon Typing Adventure, can't forget that one. So, apart from them, like, Nintendo generally do seem to sort of, especially for consoles. When the Wii U came out, there was no more Wii games, and the Wii came out, there was no more GameCube games, and so on and so forth. They essentially dropped the previous one for the next one. The only time when they haven't really done it is when it's been what they called the third pillar approach, which is what they were kind of going for with the Switch initially, where they were saying that the Switch would be a third pillar, because that's the same thing they said with the DS, and because of that, the Game Boy lasted a good Game Boy Advance lasted a good 2 years after the DS had come out, where they got games like Rhythm Heaven and Mother 3 and Drill Dozer and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Game Boy Micro as well came out around the time of the DS.
And that as well. Like, they seem to support it, and I feel like the Switch might be them at least trying to do that. A third pillar without one of its pillars, because the Wii U is basically gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wii U eShops now is kind of a wasteland of these like dystopian games. Like, there's some weird stuff on there. They've obviously stopped checking what's being put on there now.
The American store is even worse in comparison.
Yeah.
If you look at the American store, half of the time it's basically a pile of nothing.
They're still putting the old Virtual Console game out on it. So.
Yeah, this week was actually the first week that they didn't put out a Virtual Console game, so Konami has finally seen the light, I think.
Well, they got to keep up the Virtual Console support until the Switch gets it, and then they can fully abandon that ship and start re-releasing everything all over again.
Yeah, I certainly look forward to that.
Hey, Urban Champion with online play. So.
I guess that's a good way to move on to online with Nintendo. So this is something that we wanted to see a big improvement of over the Wii U and Wii and 3DS. Especially now that starting next year, Nintendo are going to start charging for it. And, yeah, I don't have Splatoon 2, so does anyone who does want to let me know how that is online?
I put 255 hours into Splatoon 2. Hello.
What the heck?
So
when do you sleep?
Hey! I've got it since plus 10 days, so I had plenty of time to rack up that amount of time.
All right, okay.
So you can't sleep and be fresh at the same time, Liam. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's my most played Switch game. It's double the amount that I currently have Zelda on. So.
Wow.
Dumb.
Then, Dan, how is the online in Splatoon 2? Because I've heard very mixed things.
Okay, I would say that playing a match is fine. I have some drop issues, which also Mario Kart had in its first month, so maybe they will fix that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, it's a way more fun game than playing a game that already existed. So of course, I'm having a good amount of fun with it. That being said, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch Online app. Nintendo is not ready. No. They never were ready. And the Nintendo Switch Online app just shows that. If your solution is more elegant on your previous systems, you're having a problem right now. And I feel that making invites, chatting for people through that app doesn't work as well as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that since 2006 onward, Nintendo simply doesn't get it. They never got it, and I doubt that they will get it in 2018.
See, what's interesting to me with this time around is I believe, didn't they hire DNA specifically to help with mobile games, but to also help with their online infrastructure?
The infrastructure was specifically for their mobile games, so I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I don't think there's any like crossover there.
Okay, because I remembered reading. I'm sure I'd read it, and it made when I remembered that DNA, obviously being focused on mobile. I was wondering if that was part of the reason why the online app is an app itself, and not something in
The
system.
majority of that app, there, how it currently is also made by Hatena Corp Limited. So the people who also made Flip Studio, Flipnote
Oh,
Studio.
okay. Oh, interesting.
So I'm not sure that DNA has really anything to do with it. It seems purely made within NCL and within Hatena.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it seems just really weak.
The thing about that,
And they will update it. They will update it when it becomes a paid service, but that doesn't exactly mean it will be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
they haven't proved to us there's anything worth paying for yet.
No, they haven't. Especially if you have now drop issues in Splatoon 2. You had it like significantly in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think that's also the main reason why they delayed it to 2018.
Yeah.
Because it seems pretty much that they thought it would be fine. But
I think they really need to step it up on a purely interface level. Like when I'm in Splatoon 2, everything is so fragmented for some reason, and I can't just like stay in one lobby throughout the whole experience like I can in other games. And we can't like like when I'm playing Halo, it's very easy to transition from playing like the hardcore competitive stuff to going into firefight or whatever. It should be more like that. And if you look at like Xbox Live or even PSN to a lesser extent, it's pretty simple stuff. It's pretty simple to emulate it, for, at least creatively. I don't know about engineering, but that's a whole different thing. And it's so disappointing that we are like 11 years after Metroid Prime Hunters, and I keep bringing this up, but Metroid Prime Hunters, for my money, had better online than Splatoon 2 did, at least in terms of like structure and features. I think that was it was on a DS. It's ridiculous. We've
honestly,
freaking gone backwards.
Yeah, I honestly say that they went backwards directly after that happened, because I remember early interviews about WeConnect 24 in early 2006, and
Right.
I wrote about those, so I still know about those very significantly.
Yeah.
But what their theory was behind WeConnect 24 is the main example that they used was a new Animal Crossing game, which didn't come to fruition 2 years later. But their idea is that through WeConnect 24 you would get daily updates, you would get stuff on the go, you would get stuff directly from the message board. All of that stuff never happened.
Yeah, I gotta remember all that stuff. They were talking about how you're gonna seamlessly get updates, and they're gonna add stuff to your games and all this kind of thing. And all it ended up being was like a messaging service that was like a message in the bottle. It was like you had like a 50% chance of it reaching anyone, and it arrived like a week later.
There was even talk of a game that was going to be based around it. I think it was some kind of advanced or spiritual successor where you take your turn and then send it to your friend via cool. WeConnect 24, so they turn on their system and your turn would happen.
That's kind of a neat idea, but it would probably last about the length of a real war.
Yeah. I also remember the time where they promised us missions for Mario Kart Wii, similar to how the DS one did, but it ended up being just 6 missions.
Yeah, there was the Mario Galaxy thing, wasn't there? I think the thing about the app that they've introduced is that there is a place for that app. Like, for example, being able to order stuff in Splatoon and see your stats, that's great. I really like that. But building your whole
part,
but building your whole online infrastructure around it is not a good idea. Like, these two things, you shouldn't be separating these two things. I kind of, the way Nintendo laid out their mobile approach was that they'd be putting software on mobile that would be attracting consumers to their main hardware, but they're actually separating the features of their hardware out onto mobile now. I kind of feel like it's just a serious misstep.
Yeah, I agree. There should be some parity. Like there are so many weird emissions on the mobile app that you'd really want to check. Like you can't check the salmon run times. That you can't it shows you if it's on at that time when you're checking it, but you can't look at the schedule that you can check on the system itself, which sucks. Obviously I don't like the whole idea of making salmon run limited, but you know sometimes I'm away from my Switch. Let me check if it's going to be on later, and that seems like a very very simple thing that they could have implemented.
That's the kind of thing you'd want on your phone,
Yeah,
as opposed to
exactly.
some of the stuff they do offer you. Another thing is the parental controls app. I actually think that's a really good idea, for what it is. If you're a parent, it gives you that degree of control, that you want. Because a lot of parents probably aren't going to understand how the console works.
Yeah.
But I've got it set up so I can just check my play times, and even that information is just like it's really limited in what they show you, and they've done it better in the past. We've had the activity log and things like that. They seem to be not learning from the past.
I think honestly my biggest problem with the Switch right now, it's not software, it's actually the UI. I think the UI is too simplistic for its own good.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's interesting coming from what they had prior with the Wii and Wii U. Like even just the addition of slight background music on the menu makes it improves everything, and the Switch doesn't have that, which is really strange because in Japan they have background music for everything. Like every single shop
supermarkets and stuff.
Music and background music and its own themes. Sometimes there are many shops I went to when I was out there last year where they their song has its own theme song. Like the store has its own theme song that you just plays over and over again. And I was like, so I get why the eShop has it now, and then Nintendo cut it all away.
Yeah, it feels very empty right now.
Eerie, but I think there's a balance because the music brought a lot of personality and character to it. It gave it that real Nintendo feel, and that's gone. But I don't think the UI is entirely with that. Like, there are very small, kind of subtle hints, like the way that icons move and stuff that shows that there's been a keen attention to detail and design this. The only problem is it's actually lacking in features. What's there looks very nice and it's put together very well, but the actual options they're giving you just aren't so good.
It doesn't feel ready.
The features feel half-baked right now, and I just think that I could do this a whole lot better. And Nintendo is more than capable to. They've done it before. As much as people like to say shit on the 3DS home menu, I think it's very convenient with everything that it has into place.
Yeah.
The Switch has everything, just a bulk of icons, and I have now like a lot of them, like a lot, and I just go through that library, and it's just not fun to scroll through.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing I've noticed as I've started to get more games. There's absolutely no way to organize it. You can't even sort by name or when you last played them or something. When you get over 10 apps or something, you get a big kind of list, which I'm sure you guys have seen. There's no way to organize that at all and quickly find one that you're looking for once you start to get lots of games. I know that's a problem that will affect few people, but yeah.
I have over 100 icons on this Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
So my library goes on for multiple pages, even on the television. That's not an okay design choice, honestly.
No, it's pretty bad, and I don't think it helps that any game you have physically then gets its own slot on the Switch, even when the cartridge isn't in the system. So at that point, it's just taking up space.
I don't know. I like having my library in front of me, but I can see what you mean. I bet you if you ask Nintendo, they'd say, well, you just have to delete your games if you want more space on there.
But why did I buy an expensive SD card then? Nintendo, you set me up for the long haul because you want me to use this as a console. You want me to use this in handheld. Then let me use it as a console and a handheld.
I bet they'll
have my
update the
library
UI.
on there.
There's no way it will stay like that forever. The 3DS had that. It was iterated on and stuff. I mean, the 3DS didn't even launch with an eShop. I don't know if the Wii U did or not. I can't remember. But
The Wii U did, yeah.
It did, yeah. I remember downloading shit like Little Inferno on there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, I think my fear is that Nintendo will eventually sort all this stuff out, but they'll wait until they're ready for their online stuff to do it. And as that keeps getting delayed because they're not ready for it, stuff like any UI updates or even like the Virtual Console, because they have this service coming out, I feel like they're going to delay the Virtual Console to launch alongside it. And of course, the longer they delay it, the longer extra features which we kind of want get delayed. And I want to be able to see what this stuff is like, ideally before I commit to giving Nintendo money every year to pay for all of this.
It is quite affordable, though. You have to give it that.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than PlayStation, which is going up.
Yeah, but affordable doesn't make it better if it doesn't work well.
Yes,
That's true. Yeah.
There are plenty of things that are affordable. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if it's affordable and doesn't work, why would I still give money even if it's affordable?
Yeah, that's true.
I think I'd be. Yeah, that's that's an excellent point. But I know people would be more annoyed if they had to pay 60 quid a year for something that didn't work than 10 quid.
Yeah, but
we just have
that's
to wait
the
and see
premium.
if they do make it work by that point.
Yeah, but that's the premium you pay. Like Nintendo is also offering less in that same package, but at the same time, the things that are currently offering in that package should still work.
Yeah, of course.
In the sake of what they're offering. Like if the online doesn't work, that's already the half of your package. That's a big issue.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
But that free Wrecking Crew.
God.
Free online Wrecking Crew.
Gosh.
So that's like kind of the stuff for the Switch and all this. But Nintendo has been in the last few years trying to re-expand outwards to different mediums outside of games. So we have them reaching out for theme parks or making those animated shorts. There was the Pikmin one, then the Star Fox one, and now there's the Kurokuro Splatoon animated shorts. Have any of you seen that yet?
I saw them. Yeah, it wasn't quite an anime, really, was it?
No, it's not
It was like
quite,
an
is it?
animated comic
It's
thing.
basically an adaptation of the manga, which I already have a copy of the manga. I don't need to see those shorts.
Yeah, like it's
You know what? It's for kids, though, isn't it? So,
yeah, it's true. It's Korokoro still, and it's online and stuff, and whatever. I was kind of hoping for more, like like an actual anime, but whatever. It's a step. The fact that this is happening, and the Splatoon manga is continuing, and they also redid the Zelda part of the Zelda manga. They're trying to reach other mediums. We just need to see it. They've been hinting at movies being something.
The Olympics as well is a big one.
Oh yes, the 2020 Olympics will be a big show.
Yeah, Mario was front and center.
Well, this seems like the first time there will be not a Mario and Sonic game, huh?
Maybe they'll ditch Sonic. You never know. Maybe Mario and
Mario and Rayman. Mario and Rayman at the Olympics.
Mario and Bubsy. There we go.
Well, the Olympics aren't till 2020, so there's still next year.
No, there's Olympics next year.
Oh, there's the
next
Winter
February.
Olympics, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're not getting Winter Olympics then. It seemed baffling to me that the time that they stopped doing Olympic Games is when it's in Japan, where both Sonic and Mario were made.
Honestly, Nintendo should develop that one.
It seems weird to me that they're stopping with the Winter Olympics exactly in a country that they're trying to heavily push with the 3DS.
I guess that is also true. And maybe Reggie said there's more games to be announced. Maybe it just needs to be announced. That's all we're waiting for. The secret game is Mario and Sonic at the 2018 Winter Games.
That would be interesting if that would be a Switch title.
I'm only interested if it comes with a virtual trading card album like the last did.
Oh, F that trading card album.
Quality.
I still think I have the Street Pass for that enabled.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it's going to be like with the current Nintendo. You're going to get that, and then you're going to get a bunch of Mario and Sonic Amiibo cards to help you flesh out that
they did that,
library.
Didn't they? Oh, yeah. No, that was Mario
Sports
Sports.
Superstars. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
where
it.
you where you used old artwork, like the dancing
Yeah.
animation from Bowser from Dance Dance Revolution Mario mix.
As the goalkeeper, I know.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, that was. I felt those cards were depressingly lazy. Like, they were like they could have been like I don't know what I don't even know if I've seen them be sold much here. Like,
No,
I don't think I've really seen them anywhere. The Animal Crossing ones I still see, but I don't think I've seen.
I think they're
very
hard
many
to get
Mario
now, aren't they?
Sports
The Amiibo, welcome Amiibo ones are pretty hard to find, I've heard. So,
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
what do we think about where Amiibo is at the moment? Because they seem to be kind of they announced a bunch at E3, but I mean up until that point there was a bit of a drought, you know, if you can call it that.
A drought. Hold up. They announced 13 in that April Nintendo Direct. Hold on.
I'm talking about
Calm
before
down.
that.
But no, just before E3, you said just before E3. In April, they announced another 13. They need to relax.
Wait, which ones were those?
The four remaining, no, the 6 remaining Smash ones. The
Oh,
Hey
you know what,
Pikmin Amiibo. I could go on, but I
You know
I
what,
definitely
right? I'm not a big Amiibo collector, but I don't think they're making enough because people
What?
love those things, you know. Like seriously, I think, you know, kids, they want a toy of their favorite Nintendo character. Like
They
aside,
announced-
regardless of their role in the game, they should be, you know, they should be making way more of those things.
I would say that, but
I
between
don't-
the
you
months
have
of
to cover them,
April
though,
and
so.
June, they've announced 32 Amiibo. Calm down.
No, seriously, I think they could do double that.
I
You
think,
know,
I don't know. I think they need to print more of ones that they've got and ones that they got. Rather than announce 32, announce 12, but make sure that they're fucking like stocked and that any people can get a hold of them and keep it up. Because the issue with announcing so many is that they have to cancel other ones in order to keep these ones going on. So these Amiibo are on the shelves for like 4 or 5 months before then Nintendo stops making them to make the next Amiibo in line.
Yeah, I still haven't got Bayonetta. I've been trying to get Bayonetta everywhere, and it's
I just imported her
Oh.
because they're still widely available in Japan.
They actually,
Oh, are they?
both Bayonettas just managed to go up on the Nintendo UK store a few days ago, actually. Because I managed to get one. I managed to get Bayonetta 2 version of her from
Boy, I need to get one.
it. So
I want that Box Boy Amiibo.
I got.
We're
the
never
box
going to
for
get
it.
that, are we?
No, you won't get it over here. I've got it. It's a nice little Amiibo. It's a bit tiny.
I also have to remind you that in the last month or so, they released 13 Amiibo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, the reason you don't like them is because you have to buy them all and film what they unlock in like something like Teddy Together. Like that's what you have to do. You know, I don't have to worry about that.
Hey. The only thing I use for Teddy Together is make a horrible plot line about Teddy saying horrible things, because that game doesn't have a profanity filter.
Oh dear.
Glorious.
Well, it was meant for innocent minds, obviously. So.
Hey, now I have a bear who is favored with the saying memeing.
That's surprisingly tame.
Is it though? Is it?
But yeah, Amiibo. Like, I feel like I'm personally think the issue is, and I've heard this before, that because they started with Smash Brothers, they started with all of their big characters that they'll make Amiibo out of, and now they're essentially retreading the same ground again. Like, how many different forms of Link and Mario are there available out there?
Oh, you have Gold Mario, you have Silver Mario,
This
you have
totally-
Mario.
This totally reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons with the Malibu Stacy's, where they're like, "It's just the same Malibu Stacy, but it's got a new hat."
You have 8-bit classic Mario, you have 8-bit modern Mario, you have Smash Mario, you have Dr. Mario, you have Green Mario, you have Green Mario from the Super Mario line.
Big greedy Mario, thin purple Mario.
Wedding Mario.
Yeah, wedding Mario.
Wedding
is coming
Mario.
out.
Yeah.
It's
There's Mario playing football.
yeah, and if
That's
we
a
go into
card,
the
though, I don't know if
cards,
it
then
yeah.
this is the thing. And now, like, you know, there's another Samus amiibo coming out, and like I would be more okay with this if they all did the same thing. Like if all the Link amiibos were the same, and you were just picking which, you know, pose you wanted. But the fact that the Samus the Samus, the new one, and then the Smash one do completely different things.
Is that right?
To me, yeah, because I've already got a Samus amiibo. I don't really want to buy another Samus amiibo. And
Really? You can't use the just the Smash Samus to
the Smash Samus gives you something entirely different. The Smash Samus, the Zero Suit Samus, the Metroid Return Samus, and the Metroid all give you different things.
So if I scan that Metroid Return Samus in, say, Mario Maker, it wouldn't give me the same Samus costume that the Smash one does?
It probably would. What Nintendo have done, I think, is that they have the Samus one, and then this is version 1, version 2. And so some games just allow all versions of the Samus to work the same. So if you scan the new Samus Amiibo into Smash, it would probably just count it as a Smash one. But then there are some games where they split it up, so that they do different things.
I don't like that at all.
No,
I think that's when you lose me. I've been on board, but if they're gonna start doing that, then fuck this. Like that is where I get off.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of what the value proposition was to me, that these would work on different games for years to come.
Yeah.
And we'd be, no matter which version you had of that character, you'd be able to unlock the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's how they pitched it initially. That's what made it different from other Toy to Life games out there.
Yeah.
But I think what they realized is that they'd already made all the amiibo for characters people cared about, and the only way to keep making money is to make more versions, because they know that there are collectors out there who will buy every amiibo if it's different. So if you make a different version of Samus, they'll buy that version of Samus. And
that being said, there's been a significantly amount of time between the two Metroid Smash Bros. Amiibo, now two proper Metroid Amiibo.
But they should still work the same, like the whole idea, like Liam was saying, they've got a kind of long life to them. I think what they're not doing is doing enough to capitalize on the actual physical object of an amiibo, because before Amiibo, you'd never get a merchandise for, I don't know, like Ike or something. Like you would never get a merchandise for Mr. Game & Watch. And I think there is a lot of appeal. Like, someone like me, I just buy the ones that I like. I'm not thinking about what they unlock or anything. And I think there's got to be people out there like that, like kids and stuff. They're going to pick their amiibo based on whether they like the character. So that's the market they should be.
I think that's
doing more to accommodate.
I think that's the appeal that they had before, but the issue is trying to implement it into games for people who just want the features ends up having some extra ramifications.
Yes, they've got to balance it out, haven't they? So.
They want a reason why people who want it for the game should buy this version of the amiibo, and to do that, they make it have this completely unique feature from the other version of that person's amiibo, and thus people who the problem is people who bought the old one now feel like they're being slightly cheated because their amiibo suddenly doesn't work to unlock everything. And yeah.
It's hard, because people also complain that Amiibo don't do too much, and now they do something significant, and people are still upset. So I don't know how to react to that stuff anymore. For me, it's just collecting figurines because they look cool.
Yeah, that's what mine's kind of turned into as well.
Yeah,
the Samus one particularly annoys me because I feel like those are features that I should be able to access in the game even without Amiibo. Like the way Star Fox Zero did it, where you can use the Amiibo to get the stuff that you'd otherwise have to play like the entire game to unlock, is what I would want from the Samus one. But the Samus one doesn't do that. It seems to be exclusive Amiibo.
Wait, what does Star Fox Zero do with Amiibo? I don't remember that.
You can unlock the classic SNES version of the ship, or you can unlock the one where it's like one hit kill, basically.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And you can unlock them by getting all the medals in the game, or by scanning the Amiibo. It's kind of like what Mario Maker did. You can unlock the costumes with the Amiibo, or by playing 100-man Mario Maker. 100-man Mario
which
Maker.
Now is basically impossible. So.
So I prefer it when the Amiibo features are like that, rather than them like locking the entire fusion mode from the upcoming Metroid game behind one of the non-Smash version of the Samus Amiibo.
What do you think about how Zelda did it? Breath of the Wild, I mean.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you see, it's like aesthetic changes there. And I guess it'd be nice. I know there are people out there who'd rather than be able to find the different Link outfits, but I don't think it impacts the game majorly. They all share the same stats, I believe.
Yeah,
As the
I think aesthetic things are fine.
Yeah.
Cosmetic things, I mean. I think that's probably a good sweet spot because you don't have people complaining about missing features and that kind of thing. And meanwhile, the people who buy the amiibos get invested in that. They have something cool, like a cool bonus.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My only problem with the Zelda amiibo is that they unlock gear that's really hard to get.
High level stuff. So like when you just start playing the game, it starts dropping end game weapons and stuff. Is that right?
No, that's not really the problem. The problem
Yeah.
for me is like getting the exclusive stuff to the amiibo because they've made that significantly difficult. Because every single day you need to scan the amiibo again to get a specific piece of gear, and if you don't get it, you need to try the next day. So getting those sets is insanely difficult.
That's very Nintendo, isn't it? I mean, remember when Mario Maker launched and you had to play for 9 days to use all the parts, you know?
Well, you could still cheat that system, you know.
Well,
Yeah, but you know, you're not supposed to cheat it, but like you could, but you know, you were supposed to play it over that period of time. Like they designed it in that way, you know.
Well, you
Well,
can.
that's why they updated because nobody cared.
Yeah. Well, with the Zelda amiibo, you can save scum your way to getting everything.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
That's what I did because I don't have the amiibo, but I borrowed them from Push when I went to visit and just tapped in, didn't get that piece. All right, restart, do it again, and just kept doing it till I got every piece. I mean, you still have to do it over
but
a
then I
4-day
lose
period,
then I lose like progress that I make with the Korok seeds or what have you. So usually I wouldn't do that.
All right.
Yeah, it's it's I guess it's a balance that they need to make, but they need to calm down with the amiibo making for a bit. I think I'm still expecting like another line.
Maybe you've
of,
convinced me.
I'm still like expecting another line of Kirby amiibo to be announced.
I expect another 10 amiibo to be announced in the next Nintendo Direct. And then we have like 42 amiibo, and then everybody will say, ah.
Man, I'm glad I didn't become one of them people who said they'd buy every amiibo. You're just gonna end up with like one room. Sorry, Dan, but you're gonna end up with like one room that's just the walls are amiibo.
It's like a shrine.
Wall,
I have five shelves with amiibo.
Wow. Yeah. So. That's a good. You brought up Nintendo Directs. When do you think we'll get the next Nintendo Direct then?
Pretty soon.
You think? Do you
Yeah.
think it'll be in August, or do you think it'll be like September time?
I would say just before PAX.
So that's like in a week or so, isn't it?
That's not this coming week, but the week after that.
Okay, so after Gamescom, before PAX.
We've also got isn't the Tokyo Game Show coming up soon?
That's
but
end of September-ish time.
But it's I've been hearing that they're bringing some unannounced games specifically to PAX. So.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Mario and Sonic.
Crowd pleaser.
Bring it back.
Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, then maybe then that would be pretty good. Yeah, because I do think that we are. I mean, that's the thing. Their usual pattern was doing it like every 2 to 3 months. So August always fit after E3, but they wanted to change the way directs work, and so it's kind of become an irregular pace. So
Well, also, to be fair, not many of the announcements shown during that E3 presentation are stuff that you need to talk immediately.
No, it's not. Like, unless Kirby or Yoshi is going to come out in like January of 2018, I don't think it doesn't. In fact, it doesn't really need to be brought up until like November-ish time.
Yeah.
At that point, the biggest thing they need to do is show off Kirby 3DS. Because it's like the only game that was meant to be coming out this year that we know about that we know nothing about at the same time.
And it's still planned for this year, so.
Yeah. Like, So maybe that's the PAX game. There's also the Nintendo World Championships that's coming out in November, where they could also announce
October,
sorry, that they could also announce a game at, like they did with Metroid Prime Blast Ball.
Another one of
And
them.
Earthbound
That'd be a crowd pleaser.
and Earthbound Beginnings.
Yeah,
That is true.
yeah, they
yeah,
did
that
do
was
that.
a...
Is this where we get Mother 3? Is this it? The elusive.
Here you go, Mother Free.
Mother 3 and Blast Ball 2. Let's go.
No, that's just gonna skip Blast Ball 2. It's gonna be Blast Ball 3, the Blast Balling.
We'll just get a Samus ship in Rocket League, and then they'll like claim it's a spiritual successor, almost a spin-off. So we're coming towards the end of our hour. So before we wrap this up, what do you think about? So how do you think Nintendo's going future-wise? Like, do you think the future looks more promising for Nintendo than it did before? Do you think that they can keep up this Switch momentum, or do you think that we may end up seeing something like the Wii U where it kind of drops down?
I think the momentum will keep going at least until next year. It kind of depends what their plan is for 2018.
Okay.
Outside of what the 2 games that we know are coming, hopefully in the first half of the year, we aren't sure what's coming beyond that.
Metroid Prime 4.
No, yeah.
Smash. Mario
We
Maker.
don't. We don't know. We honestly don't know. Like
I know,
those-
Dan. I know.
like that. Like some of the stuff is definitely rumored, and I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, but they sort of need a plan in place to keep the momentum going they've been building throughout 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think things are looking pretty good. It looks like their third-party support is bolstering up a bit. Capcom are coming on board. Hopefully FIFA will do well, so EA comes on board too and starts supporting more stuff there. You know, indie support is bolstering up as well. I think it looks pretty good. And when Nintendo isn't constantly bringing out first-party stuff for it, then hopefully they'll have that to fall back on, which they didn't have with the Wii U and even the 3DS to a lesser extent.
Yeah. Like, I think that's what they need to fill out, because it's alright having all this stuff like Nintendo releasing something once a month for this year, but that's because they basically sacrificed the final year of the Wii U to ensure that they had this. I don't know whether that's a momentum of games they can keep up throughout the whole Switch's lifespan. So
they can sprinkle the ports and second-party games and third-party games which they publish. So it's not a matter of they couldn't. It's just a matter of if they want to.
I guess that's true. Ollie?
I think they're in a comfortable position because they've got a huge positive reception behind them, and they really need to play off of that. They need to get the stock issues sorted out. I think that should be a top priority for them, because probably games like Splatoon 2 have probably been kind of stunted almost, especially in Japan, because people just can't get their hands on the console. I mean, in terms of what I want to see, I'm hoping that some of the second-party studios who've been making stuff for the 3DS, the Alpha Dreams, Intelligent Systems, or whatever, are going to start. We're going to start to see more of what they're working on for the Switch. I mean, we've got the new Fire Emblem coming up. And I'd like to see some smaller stuff, puzzle games, that kind of thing. But I think they're in a good position. They just got to roll with it now.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, thank you.
Puzzle League, baby.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I'd love to see a new Puzzle League, or a Pushmo. One of them. Intelligent Systems. Give us another puzzle game.
Foxboy 4.
So I want to thank both you, Dan, and Liam for coming on. So, Dan, where can people find you at? And
you can find me on Twitter at Nintendaan, that's NANTNDAAN. You can find me the same with the 1 at the end. Go Nintendo, Nintendo Report, NF Magazine, and a whole bunch more.
Okay. And Liam?
I'm at Doctor_Cupcakes on Twitter. That's the full word Doctor, and from there you can find links to my Patreon, my YouTube, and go check out that stuff. I cover console video games, and I break other kind of news. I'm always working on something good. So yeah, check that out.
Stop breaking the news. It needs to be whole.
Well, Liam, you're joining us slightly later as well for
yeah,
a segment.
that's true.
So, well, I'll see you again then. And for Dan, I have a wonderful Sunday, and I hope that everything is sorted for Gamescom and that Gamescom is good.
Yeah, it's more to prepare stuff. Like, I still need to record a bunch of videos that go up on the channel throughout the week that I'm not here. And then 2 podcasts, one that goes up on Monday, one that goes up on Wednesday. So it's doing all of the stuff I usually do throughout the week into a 3-day span.
Okay. Alright, and for the people watching, we're going to take a very quick break so I can get a glass of water and prepare. And coming up next is the Obscure Gaming Chat. So until then,
Cool.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye.